I'm Sarah Brown, and this is The Mothers, real conversations with leaders, creators, and thinkers about who we are, what we want, and how we build meaningful lives alongside motherhood. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Mothers. We are rolling into spring over here, maybe the home stretch of the school year. But let's survive spring break first, which falls the week of April 20th for us here. It falls on different weeks for different places because, of course, just like school getting out at 12:20 on Wednesdays, but 2:50 every other day, why be consistent? And also, why run through the actual workday like it's 2026? But I digress. Today's guest is a little personal blast from the past. It is Barrie Farivar, a founder, a mother of two, a former Google, that's where it happened, and YouTube leader, a Berkeley graduate, an HBS MBA, and in one of my favorite fun facts, a former national judo champion. That's how she got into Google. But I think the most important part of Barrie's story actually starts before any of that, with her parents who left the Soviet Union with almost nothing, built a life in the United States from scratch, and modeled hard work, resilience, and deep family connection. That story about where we come from, what we carry forward, and what we leave behind for the next generation is at the heart of the company Barrie is building now. Barrie is the founder of Leaf, an app that helps families capture voice recordings, conversations with your kids, your parents, your grandparents, the everyday moments and stories that would otherwise disappear over time. It's one of those products that, once you understand it, you realize it's not really a tech product. It's a family history product. It's a memory product. It's a legacy product. I've played around with it a bit, and I can't tell you how meaningful it is to hear your kids say, "Happy birthday," or "I love you," in their little 3-year-old voice without any video to distract you. Especially when that little 3-year-old is now 6. It lands right in the deepest part of your heart, and you are transported back to that very moment. With Mother's Day coming up on May 10th, you're welcome for telling you when, and I also had to look it up. We thought a subscription to Leaf would be a really beautiful gift for a mother, a grandmother, or honestly for your future self. A way to capture the voices and stories of the people you love while they're still here to tell them, or while they're still so little. Barrie has generously offered our listeners 20% off Leaf with the code TheMothers20. We'll link everything in the show notes, but visit sharewithleaf.com to learn more and head to the gift tab to use our code. In this conversation, Barrie and I talk about immigration and family history, achievement and identity, leaving a very successful career to build something more meaningful, bootstrapping a company while raising 2 kids, and how she thinks about work, ambition, motherhood, and what it really means to have it all. As you'll hear Barrie say better than me, it starts with realizing you get to decide what enough is and what success is. The world shouts at us about, quote, overnight successes and 30 under 30. But you actually get to decide what having it all looks like to you. And once you do, the external voices get quieter. So with that, please enjoy my conversation with Barrie Farivar. I know you've done podcasts before, and obviously we've chatted, but do you have any questions before we jump in to what I think will just be a meaningful conversation?
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been listening every
Oh,
Tuesday.
good.
This morning I wanted to listen to your latest
Good.
episodes. It's been awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate all you're doing.
That's
It's great.
awesome. Yeah, today Jennifer Wallace, hers popped
Yeah.
up. Yeah, she's great. It's also been a nice I've never read as much. I've always wanted to read more, but now I end up interviewing a fair number of authors, and then I'm like, I want to read the book prior, which is, it makes you feel cool, where they're like, would you like an advance copy? And I'm like, oh yes, actually. So I read these.
Are you reading the book or are you doing audiobook?
I'm reading them. I feel like however my brain works, I just phase. I can't pay attention. It just turns into background noise. I really need to read. Yeah. I need to read and then write down what I'm learning. Depends how I'm reading. If I'm reading to retain in an academic way, I have to read, underline, write down. If I'm reading for the pure joy of reading, I don't do any of that. And I've learned how to read faster. I think that's also something that I'd like forgotten about since school with in prepping for all these things
Nice.
is you can just kind of like breeze through some stuff. You don't have to like respect every single
Yeah.
word.
Totally.
Although of course I am respecting every word. Anyways, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for
Yay,
having
I'm
me.
so excited. I feel like I love that we got connected through funny Google life, where I'm still convinced that we crossed paths physically. We
I'm
shared the
sure we
office
will.
in some way. Um,
Yeah.
but so in love with what you're building and how like it's just deeply thoughtful and meaningful it is in a world that's just like let's throw things out there that can scale quickly and we can make money off of. I feel like you're building something that
Mhm.
has deep meaning, and I want to hear you tell more of the story that I sleuthed a little bit. You talk about yourself as a private person online, and you are.
Yeah.
I couldn't get much about you on the internet.
That's
I was very impressed.
again.
No, it's a good thing. I've never Googled myself, and I hopefully never will. Just although I should probably pay someone to do it and clean up whatever's out there for me. But the way, as you know, we like to start is hearing your story, and I feel like this is very in line, kind of with the premise of Leaf and the importance of stories. Audio, who
Yeah.
needs video? Um, but I would love to hear kind of how how you would tell your story, high points that I've
Yeah.
pulled out: UCLA, HBS, YouTube and Google,
Berkeley.
Berkeley. Sorry. Wait,
Yeah.
way more
No, all
important.
good.
Sorry. I'm so glad. I'm relieved.
Same, very, very. They both have bears, Bruin, Golden Bear, all the
No, but the
same.
Bears are key. I mean the Berkeley part of the Bears. Founder, mother of two. I did
Yeah.
find apparently you're a national judo champion. And that's where I was like, okay,
I
now that's why she went to Google. That little
That's always
quirky
my fun
extra.
fact. I have to share
Yes,
something. Yeah.
yes. But anyway, tell me, yeah,
Yeah.
how would you tell your story thus far?
Yeah. Well, props on your research. That was very good. Um, let's see. So, I mean, I think everything honestly stems back to two major things from in my life, and like the foundation for everything. First one being my parents. I don't know if you got any intel on this. They both left Russia, gave up their citizenship, came with $140 and
Mm,
nothing, literally. Like they went through Italy, sold records, and just like it eventually landed in the States, which is lucky for me. But um, my mom ended up in LA because she had some family here. My dad went to St. Louis because he knew one guy there. And they literally dated on the phone for three
wow.
months, got married, and my dad moved for my mom.
Wow.
And they built a life together from nothing and never complained. And they just worked hard and just were a really great example for my sister and I. So that was definitely one major aspect of my childhood and growing up and kind of the example that they
Yeah.
set for me. The other one I'm sure you can connect with is the judo
Hmm.
find that you saw. I started judo and jujitsu at a really young age at
Wow.
5, and then you can compete at 6. So I started competing throughout the country, and my coach was incredible. Like took zero excuses. If you're late, you do push-ups for every minute you're late in front of the class. It didn't
Ah,
matter why. And girls sparred with boys. It was like a very tough environment. And the way that tournaments work is that you have your weight division and you like literally spit in a cup to try to be the top of the weight class of like the of your age
wow.
range, like being like on the high end of it, so you're like the bigger one
Hmm.
within the group. And it's just a very intense environment where you had to be diligent and just work
Yeah.
hard. And I thought that taught me a ton. And there's something about like a one-on-one sport where it's just you on the mat. There's no excuses you can give. It's either you do a good job because you did a good job or you didn't and you can't point fingers at anyone. So I think all of that was really foundational for me, and just making sure, helping give me confidence because I was a pretty shy
Yeah.
kid, and just feeling like I could achieve
How
things.
did you seek
Um,
was this your idea to go into it? How did it all happen?
no, my grandma
Oh.
was at the YMCA
Oh.
and she saw a class there and told my dad about
Hmm.
it. And so my older cousins that are about 5 years older than me started first. Then my sister went. Then I went. Then my sister and I ended up doing it for
Oh
many,
wow.
many years. Like I did it for like 6 or 7 years until I was 13. That's when you can start choking people. So then that was enough.
Wow.
But yeah, it started kind of randomly, and it ended up being a really incredible
Yeah.
experience.
I wanted to, because
Um,
I did find mentions of your babushkas,
oh
grandmothers.
yeah, yeah.
And that in that
Yes.
context, you talked about them growing up in the Soviet Union and also immigrating to the US.
Huh?
But how does that roll in with your mother?
So my mom left with my
Yeah.
grandmother together, and then my dad actually left
Oh,
alone.
wow.
And then his mom came 7 years later. So he said bye to her, not knowing if they would see each other again. And then she came 7 years. She was able to, because she wasn't able to leave
Wow. Yeah.
earlier. He would wait list
How
and all
old
that
were
stuff.
they?
So
Is this like
well,
1820s or was this? Yeah.
my parents were in their 20s when they
Okay.
came. Um,
Wow.
I don't know exactly how old my grandma was, but I was already born,
Oh,
and
really? Wow.
yeah.
Oh, and the
Yeah,
love
so
story
yeah,
of it
she
all
went.
too.
I
Oh,
know, yeah. It's pretty
yeah.
crazy. So yeah, so I mean, that was kind of like the foundational stuff. But then after that, honestly, my path wasn't planned at all. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like take the step as it comes and just sort of make the best decision. That's
Yeah.
like what take the best option. So I got into Berkeley. It wasn't like I was set on going there. And I studied business. I actually thought I wanted to be a cardiologist or something in the doctor sphere, but was a little intimidated by AP Chem.
Yes, I had the same.
So I
That also
decided to
took me down. I was going to be an amazing
get
surgeon.
That's amazing. So I went the business route, and then a girl that was 1 year older than me at Berkeley ended up at
Hmm.
Google, and she was like, "It's
Yeah.
awesome. The culture is great. You should apply." I happened to get in, and they started a finance rotation program that year. So that's what I joined. It was cool because you could do 3 different roles over the course of two
Yeah.
years, and it was like a nice way to dabble into different areas, just as like a first job out of
Mm-hmm.
college. Um, and then I ended up staying for about 4 years. So I did 3 areas of finance, and I stayed in investor relations. And then I realized that finance wasn't really what I wanted to do
Mm.
long term, and also that the sweet spot usually of going to business school is 4 years of work
Mm-hmm.
experience. So that's what led to the decision. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll apply to
Yeah.
business school. And then got into HBS, and it was only then that I actually started to get this entrepreneurial
Mm.
itch. I joined a bunch of different startup clubs and the entrepreneurship club, and put on venture pitch
Yeah.
competitions. And I also interned for Techstars company while I was
Nice.
there.
Was
Um,
that because
so
it
it was just
seemed
really,
interesting, or were you kind of, you didn't like the traditional stuff and you were like, I'm curious about this creative space?
I was just curious because, like, at Google, as you know, even though when we both started, it was a much
Yeah.
smaller company, but still big, and it got
Yeah.
only bigger and bigger. And it just moved slowly, and I couldn't make my own
Yeah.
decisions there. It kept to have to go
Totally.
up the funnel and sign-offs and whatnot. So the idea of a startup was just so cool to me because you could do many different
Mm-hmm.
roles and have broader scope and just
Yeah.
move quickly. So it was just an exciting time to try
Yeah,
it out.
nice. And this, I feel like it was
Yeah.
also right at the time where I don't, there was like, there's still kind of a cachet about CEO, founder, entrepreneur, but this was like sort of,
Mhm.
that was really happening then. And a lot of like potential
That's-
investors could, like,
Yeah.
it was the cool thing to be doing.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. But even despite that, I went back to
Yeah,
Google.
it's appealing. I get it.
After uh, to the YouTube side. So I moved back to
Mhm.
LA, and I was on the YouTube strategy team, and I really liked it. And I ended up staying for a while, actually much longer than I wanted
Mhm.
to. There for probably like the last 3 years that I was there, I was ready to
Mhm.
go. Um, but there was just like easy excuses,
Yeah.
honestly. Like I had 2 kids while there, mat leave,
Yeah.
COVID, all the things that just made it more simple to
Mhm.
stay, and just to have at least like that being consistent in
Yeah.
my life. But I just was no longer excited or challenged by it, and just really wanted to, like I said, do either my own thing or go work for a
Yeah.
smaller company. Um, so that was kind of like on the back of
Yeah.
my mind for a while. And then finally was chipped I had the idea of Leaf, was chipping out away at it really slowly for about a year before leaving
Mhm.
Google. But it was like after bedtime with the kids, and there were days where I did like 5 minutes, and then a month went by, and then I got back into it. So
Mhm.
it was kind of like an ebbs and flows. But then finally got it to a place where I was like, okay, I like my husband and I talked about it, and just made sense to just give it a
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I so many questions percolating in my mind, but I wanted to
Yeah,
go
pile
back a
on.
little bit first. What like I've interviewed a few other folks who are like different generational levels of closeness to immigrant parents and relatives,
Uh-huh,
and
uh-huh.
a lot of them
Yeah.
have I won't say it's exclusively true, but there's certainly a kind of a drive and sort of a practicality that a lot of them seem to carry forward, and um the idea of a creative career is not necessarily front of mind. Like they're more like sort of get the
Well,
basics in order, have security, have financial independence, all these things. I was just curious like how
yeah.
your parents, and also like shifting from anywhere, certainly from Russia, Soviet Union, whatever version, America is a different
Yep.
place. And obviously now it's like a very different place, or maybe more similar, unfortunately. But how did your parents? How did they engage with these paths? Did they? And did you think about what they might be thinking of? Oh, she's like going to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I mean the good, like, so they were absolutely
Yeah.
supportive, but also cautious. Like, I think it helped that I did it much
Mm-hmm.
later in life. Um, like they were to have me go to HBS to them was like the American
Yeah.
dream, right? Like it was like,
Yes.
like my kid made it and they're at Google. Like on
Yeah.
paper, I look like great,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and so I think it was hard to understand why I wouldn't want to just keep
Yeah.
that and like, have more stability with the family and all those things as we get older and all grow
Yeah.
together. But they also just saw that I was not
Mm-hmm.
happy anymore and that all my energy was around Leaf and like talking about ideas for it
Yeah.
and even just like the early stages of like what should we name it, like what should the brand
Yeah.
look like it's just like so
Yes.
fun to get to explore different things. And I think they picked up on that. And then before it was even launched, I was doing recordings on other recording apps and sharing it with
Mm-hmm.
them, and the reaction was just like really
Yeah.
special. And actually my dad, I think the reason you had read about my grandma was my dad did recordings of my grandmother before she passed
Yes.
away, and we uploaded that, and they were just sitting in a Google Drive
Mm-hmm.
folder for a really long time. I was just so sad because there's like all this rich history, no one's
Yeah.
listening to it. That was actually one of the things that kind of gave me the idea of Leaf, because it was so powerful to hear her voice, but it wasn't a fun. There was like a not a good way to engage with it, and with all the tools these days of like transcription, translation, summarizing with AI, like
Mm-hmm.
there's all these cool things you can do. But anyway, long story short is, um, I think like he understood. Both my parents understood why it was an important thing to
Mm-hmm.
explore. Um, Very
Yeah.
supportive of it as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Impressive. You mentioned on paper, everything's great, super successful, American dream. And yet you were talking about feeling not fully satisfied or not entirely happy. I'm curious.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of I've gone through. Perpetually seem to find myself in that state. But a lot of our listeners also, and sometimes there's, the introduction of kids makes that more poignant in certain ways.
Mhm.
I was just, yeah, curious if you could share how that is going for you of the everything looks perfect and sort of wanting to keep that up, but also wanting to move into a
Yeah.
place that is more makes you happier, that might not, I don't know. I would say that your resume still looks one like annoyingly perfect. You know what I mean? But I'm curious like how you a lot of us achievers struggle with this of like wanting to find happiness but also wanting to continue to achieve, and sometimes those things aren't don't look the
Yeah.
same on paper.
Right, right. Yeah, I think like definitely having kids changes the schedule,
Mhm.
and kind of like the way I can focus on
Yeah.
my work. But I actually think it makes me way more
Mhm.
efficient. Like when you have limited hour in the day, you don't mess
Yeah.
around, right? So it's like, okay, like my window of like 2 hours, like I'm gonna get
Yeah.
XYZ done, and it feels good to
Yeah.
just focus. Then like I do school pickups and then activities and stuff. So there's like a lull in the middle of my
Mhm.
day, but it's, like, great that between my husband and I, one of us have that
Yeah.
flexibility and can be with the kids and do those things. It's tiring and hard, and I think working is much
Mhm.
easier,
Totally.
honestly.
Yes.
Um, but, like, when I like to think about the future and what I'll actually care
Mhm.
about down the
Mm.
road, and now Leaf enters that picture. When when it was Google, it was like, am I gonna be like so happy that I worked at this massive organization for so
Yeah.
long? Is that what I'm gonna be
Yeah.
proud of? And it was great timed. Like, don't get me, and I know you probably have
Yeah, I
similar
think
feelings
everyone
about it,
does.
but
It's yeah.
yeah, but like building Leaf is a super fulfilling thing. And then also, more importantly, what I'll look back on is being there for my
Mm.
kids and being at performances and whatever it might be that makes them feel supported and loved. And that makes me feel really great too. So it's like, I feel like anytime I get confused about my priorities, I just want to, it's easier to like look forward and think about what
Mm.
I'll actually care about
Yes.
down the
Yes.
road.
And leave a voice memo for your future self on leave. Do you do that?
Totally, yeah, and for I've done, like, reflections on my
Mm.
birthday and stuff like that that I keep to myself, but, we do recordings with the kids all the time and also, send them birthday
Mhm.
messages and stuff so that later when they have an account, they can hear that kinda
Yeah.
stuff. It's really fun and it's so quick and
Yes. Oh
easy,
my
you
gosh, it's
know?
beautiful. Did
It's yeah,
so
it's
you had the 2 kids while you were at Google, and then
yeah,
were they critical in coming up with this idea? And also, I don't know, did that
yeah,
somehow give you a version of courage to leave? As you're saying, of like what really is gonna matter at the end of the day?
right. I don't think they were critical in the
Mhm.
idea or any of that. Um, I think what it's helped me with is understanding our users because actually when I launched Leaf, I didn't realize what the primary use case was going to
Mhm.
be. I thought there would be two. One was recording the generation above you and making sure family history is passed along
Mhm.
from one generation to the next. And then also the use case of recording your kids because there's no screen in their face, it's authentic, it doesn't interrupt the moment. There's all these like great things
Mhm.
about it. Um, that wasn't so obvious to me that that would be the primary use
Mhm.
case. And it's cool because that's how we use it and I understand our users. And so I think it's helped me a lot with um, understanding, yeah, like I said, who our users are and how to help give them use cases that make sense for
Yeah.
them. But it didn't think it like created the idea, it didn't make me want to
Mhm.
leave because I life was good at Google.
Yeah.
Like it was especially because my kids were generally like the older one was about a year and a half when COVID
Mhm.
hit, and then the second one was born during COVID. So I was mostly home
Yeah.
anyway, working from home. I had flexibility, but it was just not like what I wanted
Yeah.
to be doing,
Yeah.
you know?
How did you or what
Yeah.
informed how you imagined your life to be with kids and likely a career and jobs? Like I'm honestly often being like, did I ever look up and be like, oh, I want to do it how she's doing it? Like I'm curious like where we come
Yeah.
up with the blueprint.
I don't think I had one,
Yeah.
honestly. Like I think you had mentioned a question a little while back, like about like a through line in your
Mhm.
life.
Yeah.
And I feel like mine is like a no plan.
Nice.
Like I don't know a lot of what I'm going into, and I don't think anyone honestly knows what it's going to
Mhm.
be like to be a parent. And every kid is totally different. So like, one person's experience can't really inform what yours is going to be
Mhm.
anyway. So I don't think I thought about it. I just thought I'd figure it
Yeah.
out. Me and my husband figured it out as we went along and make it
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. How was your mother as a what did she was she working also or was she yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, both my parents are working full time. My mom was up early, like she worked for the city of Los Angeles. Was up, left the house at 5:30, 6 a.m., commuted downtown, and then it was like a 9 to 5, but just with far commutes both
Mhm.
ways. Um, so my dad did a lot of the school pickups. He's in real estate now. He was an engineer. Everyone from Russia. Your choices were to be an
Oh,
engineer.
interesting.
So they were both engineers and
Yeah.
they came here, but then they changed their careers
Mm.
quite a bit. But my dad had a little more flexibility, so he was doing more of the pickup type stuff. But they were at even though my mom was working 9 to 5, she was at every basketball
Oh.
game, like they were very present. And my grandmas were a big part of my childhood too. Both of them had lived with us at different
Mhm.
times, and stuff from school, stuff like that. So family was a really big thing, and it's still big today. Like my parents are, and my husband's dad are both really involved, which is
Yeah,
great.
that's awesome. And you have 2 girls
Yeah.
from what I understand.
You
Do
girls.
you think about role modeling for them and what you're doing now or how do you yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's really nice. I mean, I'm sure there's many careers and businesses where you can involve your
Mhm.
kids. They love doing leaf
Yeah.
recordings, so they totally get it what I'm working on, which is really
Mhm.
fun. So that's one thing, and just kind of like explaining to them that I'm, there's like various things that I do throughout the day, not just, I mean, not just, but like work. I mean, being with them all day would be much harder,
Mm-hmm.
like I said. Um, but there's one thing that the one FOMO I have in life is around exercise for whatever reason. Like, I don't care about parties if I'm missing it. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But if someone gets a really good workout and I just like have this like
Yes. I think that's
jealousy,
healthy.
I really want to
Yeah.
do. It's like sweat and like feel good, feel like I did something one day.
Yes.
So I ran the LA Marathon last
Amazing.
year, and because my husband was training and I was jealous, and then he got hurt,
Oh, good. You took his bib?
so he could.
Okay.
No, they don't allow
Okay.
transfers. So I ended up doing it as
Wow.
well, or I did it, and then he came with the kids. But my like huge motivation for it was them seeing me do
Yeah.
it, and it was just like they talked about it at school. Their teachers were like, "Oh, Very, we heard you ran the marathon," and they still talk about it.
Oh.
So I just want them to see that you can work hard and accomplish different things, and like show them that it was like
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
Like, it didn't come
Yeah.
easy at all. So that was
Some
cool.
people feel that pressure as pressure of like and it ladders up to this mothers have to do so much, including like showing them how they can have a different life than what they may have inherited, and this like sometimes it is felt as a burden of not only do I need to
Mm,
sort of do so much for my kids just logistically at home and care for them in the moment, but also I have to, help them affect generational change or something, and need to role
mhm.
model appropriately and all this stuff. You don't seem like it's a heavy
Yeah.
burden. I'm just curious, like how you think about that, or maybe you don't even, you wonderfully don't even know how you think about it, which is why it's not so
Right.
heavy. But I'm just curious for folks that are listening who do take that responsibility very seriously, and it can
Yeah.
weigh on them, as opposed to taking it seriously and having it be, I don't know, this is oversimplified, but I'm a Pelotoner, and lately I've been thinking about their whole thing, which is sometimes annoying if it's like, you get to do this workout as opposed to you have to. But yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if you have like a
Yes.
reframe or it's how you have wandered through that, because you seem motivated by it as opposed to held back or held down or weighted by it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right that I have not
Yeah.
quite thought about it. Yeah, I mean, it does feel like I get
Yeah.
to. Like I mean, like I really I chose to have kids. Like I really wanted
Yeah.
them, like um I think it's just so fun to do different activities together and see their interests develop and grow. And like I don't know, I guess I just go with
Yeah.
what's present. I haven't thought about it honestly, so I'm giving you
I
a
love this.
horrible
I'm
ramble.
so liberated by, I used to notice this more in our earlier interviews where it was like, Sarah, it's not that deep. Like my problem is like, oh, but there's meaning under the meaning, under the meaning. But no, what if we just
Maybe,
moved
I
forward?
mean, maybe there's something that, yeah, yeah. I don't really know. I've never felt pressure to do something specific. I think like I am just motivated by, I don't
Yeah.
know. I just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I am also curious. We talk a lot about identity and how becoming a parent, becoming a mother sometimes is, for some people, becomes like a new identity at the forefront. For others, it's more an activity. I'm
Mhm.
curious how you've thought about it over time. Like, was it a shift for you when you became a mom?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a shift, like from a lifestyle perspective and
Yeah.
priorities and things like that. Um, the identifier is like, it's interesting. Maybe this isn't surprising given what we've just
Yeah.
chatted about. Is I never like think of myself as a
Yeah.
mom. Like, I mean, I know I am, and that's where my energy and time, like, that's where everything
Mm-hmm.
goes. But like, I guess an example is that when I was a kid growing up, I never thought of myself as like a girl on the basketball court playing pickup when it was all
Yeah.
guys, like at
Yeah.
all, and that was like 99% of the time I was the only
Mm-hmm.
girl. Or on the judo mat, like when in class, like if I'm fighting a guy, like it didn't matter at
Mm-hmm.
all, or in class, like none of that ever entered my mind. And I know that's so front and center these
Mm-hmm.
days. So it's like but it's just something I don't identify with. And I don't know. I am a
Yeah.
girl. I am a mom. I just don't think of myself
Yeah.
that way. I just think of like I don't know. So even though there are all a core part of who
Yeah,
I am.
absolutely. So you didn't go through these existential questions of who am I in this moment, which is amazing. Just breeze through it.
I'm have struggles in many
Yeah.
areas, but that's just not something I like
Yeah,
think
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah.
much.
Well,
Yeah.
I also love, first of all, it's amazing that you, as a child, had this role modeling of your dad being very involved and present and sort of doing a lot of the, like, taking care of a lot of the stuff. That's not, I haven't heard that from a lot of people, unfortunately. And I'm sure the dads
He
regret
he
they
loves
couldn't.
talking about he's like, "I made you ponytails, I made you your tuna salad." I'm like, "Dad, I remember the tuna salad because all the other kids were like, ooh, Barry's opening her stinky
Oh,
lunch." But it was but it was great. Yeah, he was very, very active and involved and still is with like all his
yeah.
grandchildren and everything.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure that consciously or subconsciously affects how you imagine like the team nature of parenting
That's
today.
true. 100%. Yeah. And my husband's like very, very
Yeah,
involved.
yeah,
And plays the goofy role with the kid, like all the fun, all those things that like I imagined because of my
yeah.
parents being a
I'm
example.
glad to
Yeah.
hear it because I've been reading various things that suggest that like basically all dads are terrible and they are totally uninvolved and clueless and can't. Well, maybe we watched All Her Fault, all of these like movies now and miniseries that are talking about like just how deeply inept the average dad is, and I'm like, I don't know if that's true because
Yeah. I know many dads that are
yes,
very on it,
yes,
very involved.
yes.
Yeah.
Did you know he would be? I'm always curious, like how people. I think I didn't think about it, but I knew it would be true, but
Yeah. Well, so we grew up together,
mm,
so we have like a very long history. I guess I don't know like if necessarily imagine what
yeah,
he would be like as a dad. I never had any concern. Like he was always playful with other
yeah,
people's kids and things like that. So I could like see the love and fun and all those things. Discipline wise, I mean like I wouldn't have no idea what he would be like with like two girls
mm-hmm,
especially. So all of that is new and continues to
yeah,
be a learning experience for both of us. Our kids are 7 and almost 5. So
amazing.
not babies anymore, but they're still
Yeah,
little.
they require a lot for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. I often say I think one of the most and it sounds like anti-feminist or something, but I think like picking the right partner is like essential to all forms of happiness and meaning and power and achieving whatever you want and
Absolutely.
also having like a positive parenthood. Um
Absolutely.
yeah, so good job. Hopefully we're hopefully you don't regret this 5 years from now.
Are so good.
Wonderful. Are there things that you in this shift? I'm curious because I've obviously am going through it in my own way too. But this shift from big, massive, structured, although in its own endearing way, Google was never as structured on the inside as one might think it was. But it was certainly
True,
big, and
true.
there was an attempt at systems in place. And now you're out on the outside without all this like
Mhm.
structure, and you're kind of juggling
Yeah.
in a way. I really love my kids are more accessible to me all the time, but it's also I do struggle with I'm not good at blending. I need to be like, okay, this
Mhm.
is my work time
Yeah.
and then I will have my kid time, and I really stress when they like overlap. But I'm
Yeah.
curious like how that's evolved for you, because I do myself and a lot of our listeners are people that are coming often are in these potentially like fairly high up senior roles at larger organizations and are having this similar
Mhm.
feeling of not necessarily
Yeah.
spurred by children, but sometimes, but a curiosity of like, maybe I want a chapter of entrepreneurship, whether that's the end, like the rest of my book, or if that's like the next thing. So I think,
Mhm.
and this shift from structure to lack thereof is sometimes a hurdle. And so I was just curious if you could describe how it's been for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same as you. Like I need it to be
Yeah.
separate. Because I'm like not a nice person and stressed. I'm like, I gotta finish this one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better just to like work when I work and then be with them when I'm with them and not check my phone and stuff like that. That's like there's no point in doing that because I'm distracted and then in a bad mood and it just there's no positive
Yeah.
outcome. So I definitely like to separate. I think like I said earlier, it's good that one of us between me and my husband has that flexibility. It's hard being that person sometimes. It's like I all I want is like a 5-day, like a normal 5-day week,
Yeah.
and like every well, maybe next week is going to be clear and
Yeah.
like the schedule that I think I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to have. And it's like so rare that that actually
Mm-hmm.
pans out. And so like the other 2 days ago, our kitchen sink just like totally like the pipe just like totally
Yeah.
erupted, and then you have to be home with the plumber. Just
Yeah.
like things that come up all the time. And you know this, you have
Mm-hmm.
3 kids, like it you
Mm-hmm.
even more. So someone's sick. And so I think that that part is hard to just stay
Yeah.
flexible all the time. But it's also necessary, and just like I think you just have to expect that, and then not be you're not so disappointed when it comes
Yeah.
up. I think what's been helpful with kind of being that person is trying to be more vocal about what I
Mm-hmm.
need, which I'm really bad at.
Yes.
Like I've like too much pride sometimes, and don't ask my husband like or anyone really
Mm-hmm.
for help, and I should. And but like today, for example, when I'm like this
Mm-hmm.
cannot be disrupted, right? It's like scheduled, I want to do it. Why I was like, okay, on Tuesday is a cool. I want to go running really early, and like just be
Mm-hmm.
ready to go, and all, and then so that then it was like, of course,
Yes.
like I don't ask, like it's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen. So it's on me to do that, and I think like I need to get better and better about vocalizing what I need, because otherwise, like being in the flexible role, you're kind of get you don't get
Totally.
what you
Yes.
need.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes. Do you,
that's been
yeah,
helpful.
I did one of a tip actually from the this week's interview with Jennifer. She was saying because in general you've heard this in other guests where none of us know how to ask for
Uh-huh.
help, kind of because we don't want to ask for help. Like, of course, we like
It's
know how
me
to
for
like
sure.
in logistically, but easier if you can ask for a specific thing. And I think that's very much what
Right.
you're
True.
describing.
Yeah, that's for
But yeah, I was gonna ask though if you describe yourself as being in the flexible role. I'm curious, do you have thoughts of over time that will shift and trade off between you two? Because that's another thing. When I left, I found myself sort of in this circle of women who are at like inflection points in their career and reflecting on what they really want.
Mhm.
And I found it interesting that all these women had this, they were like, well, we're going to do this chapter where I'm going to be more flexible, or however you want to describe it. But there was never just
Mhm.
an indication that like their husbands, and in this case these were all husbands, would ever want that or do that
Mhm.
too. Whereas my husband's like, you're gonna have your time now, and I'm gonna like I'm gonna go off and try my
Yeah, he's
passion thing
like,
later.
I don't
Do you guys talk
get
about that?
a little bit, but I think like honestly, I hope Leaf continues for
Yeah.
like I want this to be my business, but like I just need to. I need it's going to be hard, but I'd like to make it a
Yeah.
sustainable business that can long term. And so um if that comes along with me being the flexible one, that's great. And I there's so many positives to being available to to
Mm-hmm.
the kids and all those things. And he makes himself available too.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the
Yes.
record. um but I don't know. He really likes his work. So we'll see. We don't like it's the no plan
There we
plan,
go.
remember? We gotta
Yes.
just see how it
It's
goes.
still working. That actually,
Yeah,
you
I
had
mean,
said something about the
just check in.
related. Never thought about it this way, but this not really wanting to ask for help. And I was making a
Uh-huh.
leap, but maybe it's not a leap around you somewhat publicly talk about that you're bootstrapping your business and talking about
Uh-huh.
how the benefits of that and maintaining control and being able to move deliberately versus like overly urgently, et cetera, et cetera. I was also wondering though
Yeah.
if there behind that is also a level of I'm not going to ask people for a large sum of money. Um, but
Oh,
maybe not.
that's interesting. Yeah, it's not. I mean, I just like I said, at Google, it was I couldn't control things.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I wanted to start something is so I could actually
Mm-hmm.
do it and make a decision, make it happen. And the second you raise money, everything
Yeah.
changes. And so I think I mean, if I were in a business where that was capital intensive, that did require me to raise
Mm-hmm.
money, I would do
Yeah.
that. But for a product like Leaf that you can actually get off the ground at a fairly low
Mm-hmm.
cost, like I I don't think it's a smart idea to
Yeah.
raise money because you don't need it. So and I think that's one of the benefits of starting a business 10 years post grad
Yeah.
school, where you have, you know, some
Yeah.
savings and you have also experience across very different like industry or not industries, but like I was in finance, partnership, strategy, operations, so I understand various aspects of a business. So that also helps too, is just like more time
Yeah.
spent in those
Yeah.
areas.
Tell me, you seem like you have none of these moments, but I can't be true. Tell me about when you're like, oh my God, is this going to work? What am I doing? What have I done? This is probably going to be fine. This is a disaster. The uncertainty times,
Yeah.
which we may not vocalize, but like, what do you?
It was like leaf or life?
I was thinking leaf, but tell me about life too.
Leaf. Yeah. I mean, what's like so tough about an app is like you'll just get a really bad review and
Ugh,
it's just someone
yes.
ranting about like something that's like completely
Mm-hmm.
irrelevant to your
Mm-hmm.
product. You can't
Yeah.
control that. And those it's like so minor in the grand scheme of things, but like that like one piece of negative feedback just like ruins
Of
my mood.
course. Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, like you work so hard, and then this just like, and those ratings matter
Yeah.
overall, you know. So it's just stuff like that
Yeah.
is tough. Um, I think like, I mean, mood, my mind about it changes all
Mm-hmm.
the time. There's days where you have like a great partnership meeting, you're like, oh my god, like just like you want a good product, but distribution is so important, so you can see this
Yeah.
path, and then like radio
Mm-hmm.
silence after that, and nothing
Mm-hmm.
actually came out of that
Yeah.
meeting. So there's just like lots of highs and lows, I think, on that front of thinking something's gonna actually go through and then it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. So I think that's hard, but like you just gotta keep trucking
Yeah.
along, like I think like I know it's a slow burn.
Yeah.
Subscription businesses are hard to
Yeah.
build. I think my expectation going into it is it's gonna take a lot of time, and especially like if I'm have to break up my day and not be working on it 24/7, like that's the
Yeah.
trade-off, but I think it's the right
Yeah.
one. So I think it's kind of like reminding myself about that, and also having my husband and other friends and family just like vent
Yeah.
too about when things are going wrong, or and also just like sharing wins
Mm-hmm.
is really powerful too, to keep you excited and
Yeah.
motivated. um it may be helpful for you, but like, and hopefully you got this
Mm-hmm.
from me, I think hearing from your listeners and users can be
Yeah.
really motivating and powerful. I think
Totally.
like your work is incredible and I love listening to you,
Thanks,
so
Barry.
please keep at it. And similarly on my side, like when I get feedback from users about capturing their parents who have dementia and like being able to carry that story along to their
Yeah.
kids, that won't ever meet,
Yeah.
that like really have a conversation with that person, or saving voicemails that people are scared to lose, and like that is so it makes it all worth
Yes.
it, like so it's just being in touch with the actual users, and hearing that is
Yes,
really
and that's
nice.
very, very true. And everything you said, I would underline. I would also, especially for my psychology, the having the right expectations of this. It's going to be a slow burn, a slow build, or both.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but I also like there's so much like external. What you look outside, you're like, oh, suddenly it was like this overnight success. Obviously, it wasn't. They're not,
Yeah,
but it
exactly.
feels, I
Exactly.
think, trying to make sure that you know the plan so that you don't feel like you're behind every day
Right.
is
Yeah.
really helpful. And it's also nice, like you don't hear people talk about the slow time when it hadn't like hockey sticked yet, or if there ever was a hockey, it was like a slow build regardless. So I think it's
Right.
important to know that that's an intentional, and remind ourselves that was intentional. This is a choice. This isn't a sign of things
True.
going wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, tell me about the magic of Leaf. How can we help? I also, first of all, even before I met you, one of my favorite things that my husband has done with our kids, and this actually started in COVID because we started listening to this random podcast of a dad telling stories that became a podcast thing, like made up
Oh,
stories for
cool.
kids. And then that
Uh-huh.
inspired our middle daughter and Jason to like record these little micro stories together. And I will
Nice. That's
say,
awesome.
listening to them, the audio of them, it's in some ways more powerful than seeing a video because it
Uh-huh.
allows your imagination to fill in more of the emotional depth versus if you're given all the visual stuff. It's sort of like it is what it
Yeah.
is. Whereas with the audio, it kind of like you can bring so much more to it because there's a lot because
Mhm.
it's not filled out for you already. So
Right.
anyways, I'm a believer I'm a believer in the premise
I
entirely.
love that. That's really cool.
But yeah,
Yeah.
tell me about the magic and what can we do to make it soar?
Oh, that's nice
Yeah.
of you. the magic of Leaf. So, like, do you want to hear about the
Yeah, well,
product or
what's
like
your
like
favorite
what?
like for
what's on-
the core use case, how people can engage
Yeah.
with it? Things like everyone should download it and give it a 5-star review and share it with your friends.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the magic is honestly like it's so
Yeah.
easy to capture moments when it's audio and on the go. So I like for I think a lot of your listeners who are parents of
Mhm.
kids. My daughter, for example, talk one of them talks the most in the
Mm.
car after school. So I love just recording our car chats and sharing them with my parents, and they just feel like they're
Yeah.
there and connected even when we're
Yeah.
not. So I think like just thinking about more of like presence and authenticity versus like
Yeah.
performance and like I don't know, just like shoving your phone in your kid's face. Like I think everyone's trying to avoid that
Yeah.
as much as possible, but they still want to capture these memories. And so I think that's why like still photos are taken all the time in video, but it's still like in the
Mhm.
way of being there and present. So I think my like pitch would be try audio. Like I think it's a big our biggest challenge is it's a mindset behavior shift. Like I said, people when you take out your phone, you're ready to take a photo or
Mhm.
video. You're not thinking audio
Mhm.
first. But when you do audio, the moment still unfolds authentically, and I think that's really powerful. So
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool if you know
Yeah.
downloaded all that stuff. I'm really bad at stuff, no.
Please,
But for any of your users, that seems that seems like a good thing. It's great, and you know, one thing that's been really fun with our kids is they love listening back to their own
Yeah.
voices. They like they're on the radio, you
Yes.
know, and they're like play the one that I went to
I
camp and like,
know.
you
And
know, I
how
will
their
play that
voices were
recording.
so tiny and then they get like a little bit
Exactly. And
deeper.
so
Yeah.
I wish that we had it when our older one was younger, but with our second one, we have kind of all stages, which is just really
Yeah. Yeah.
special. Even when she's only 5, like I can imagine when she's like 12, 15, 20, it's going to be really,
Yeah.
really
Well, I
powerful.
also,
So,
as you were saying, I was
um,
like, it's also such a lighter lift on typically the mother who's like, okay, everyone's taking a million pictures. It's their birthday. Have to go through a million
yeah.
pictures, somehow decide which ones to print out, print them, make them into a book, like, or put them in some elaborate thing on the wall. This is like, it's all kind of already there. There's no, you can't print it. Like, it's kind of like
Right,
it
right,
removes
right.
some of the labor, which is really
Yeah.
nice. And it also, I do think, again, for a lot of our audience, busy working mothers, there's a feeling where you're missing things. And I could imagine it being a nice moment to like, I don't know, you're taking some overnight flight to Hong Kong and you get into the room and who knows what time it is there versus where your kids are. You're missing bedtime, but you could like record a quick, I don't know, a bedtime story or just a quick hello that they can listen to and feel connected with. That's way easier
Absolutely.
than turning on the camera and doing like a FaceTime or a selfie
Exactly.
video, which, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone like really wants to
No,
be on
I
video at
hate
the end of
FaceTime, I
the
have to
day.
say. Like, whenever it happens, I'm like, let's turn it off. It seems so invasive.
Uh, well, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot. So yeah, the power of audio is really
Yeah,
special, I think.
totally. Totally. Was there,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite or most unexpected use case? And if you don't on the top of your mind, we can cut this. But I was curious if something where you're like, wow, and yeah, wow, I never would have thought to do that.
Um, Not that like how I've used it. I think like I've heard different use cases of people like saying they're reciting their poetry and stuff like
Hmm.
that and sharing with people. Things that I haven't really thought of.
Yeah.
Like things that are like audio first or singing songs and like testing different ideas.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, nothing like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
that I can think at least off the top of
That's
my
good. You
head.
anticipated all the real use cases. Well, thank you so much. Before we part ways temporarily, we do ask these sort of closing questions. One, so before the short answer ones, I actually someone like you in particular, I want to know your perspective on this having it all thing, because you are practical in a nice way. I feel like you're not like guided by emotion like and get lost by
Yeah.
that. So I was just curious how you, if you think about having it all and what it all would be for you if you had to think about it.
Yeah. I don't know if I like necessarily I don't think about it in that
Hmm.
way, but like to me having it all is first and foremost like health
Yeah.
is everything. Health for my family, me to feel good. Like if people are sick or don't not feeling well, like that's everything else kind of goes out the
Yeah.
window. Like it's hard to do anything, hard to be happy, I think, if something's wrong in that
Hmm.
sense. So to me, that's it's really important. And I think just like minimizing stress as much
Hmm.
as possible, and that like covers so many different areas, but like um, that your kids are
Yeah.
okay and that they're growing and feeling good and they're happy.
Yeah.
That maybe you're financially okay. Like there's like so many different things in your life that can cause
Hmm.
stress. So I think like the best state possible is to feel healthy, be surrounded by friends and
Yeah.
family, and to have as little stress as possible, whatever that means to
I
your
love that.
situation.
Healthy and not worrying. I think that's true. I feel like we've been programmed to worry now. Sometimes I'm like, I just feel like I'm in a state of stress, but I don't even know specifically what I'm stressed about.
What like this one?
um,
Yeah, yeah.
but that's probably my own baggage too. Um, all right.
You're hard with yourself.
Yes. Can you tell? Okay. So yes, short answer questions that we love to bother people with.
Yeah.
Um, if you could go back to your new mom self and tell that fabulous
Hmm.
woman one thing, what would it be?
I would tell that me or whoever that is, that I think everything's a phase, and I think that's been really helpful. So like first kid had no idea. Second, I realized how everything changes so quickly and that like those moments, whether they're high or low,
Hmm.
they're gonna pass in some way. So I think like that really helped me enjoy the second time around so much more of like the bedtime, like the newborn
Yeah.
cuddles and just like all the things that um are special, like to really like be in the moment, and because it's everything's
Yeah.
fleeting. And all the like this, or sorry, this is a speed
No,
round, so I
keep
can cut off.
going.
I was gonna say that like there's times where I try to tell myself that too now of like bedtime's taking forever and I'm frustrated and all your kids want to do is hang out with you and
Hmm.
extend it. And then I'm like, well, they're not gonna even want to say goodnight to me later on and like not
Yes.
wanting me to be in the room. So I'm just like, I should just remember that this too is also a
Hmm.
phase and like it's gonna be gone and I'm gonna really miss it. So it's a really special time.
Hmm.
So I'd rather, even though I get frustrated,
Yeah.
of course. But like that always helps me sort of
Yeah.
snap back into the
Yeah.
positives of it
I
as
actually,
well.
I was
Yeah.
thinking how Leaf is sort of kind of a, this takes the edge off this pain that a lot of this brutal reality of mothering, parenting in general, where you're like, on some level, this is so annoying and can we just get to the next phase? But also, like, I don't want this phase to ever end. And there's a way that,
Yeah.
cataloging memory in whatever form, but I love the audio specifically, is a way to kind of take that
Hmm.
off where it's like it's not over entirely. Like we can revisit these
Yeah.
experiences and enjoy them and then
Right.
enjoy the next ones, but it's not like they're lost to time. So
Totally.
yay Leaf.
That's a good.
Um, um, all right, maybe this is the answer to the next thing. Would Leaf be the thing if you could provide yourself something, one thing that would have made it easier along the way? So far, you're still in it.
I like that
Yeah.
answer. uh, yeah, I definitely wish that we had more recordings. So was when I finally, because like your camera roll or mine is such a
Yes.
disaster, and then when I finally find an old video of our
Yeah.
older one and hear her voice, I'm like,
Yes.
oh, like I like think I remember, but I actually
Yeah.
don't. So I wish I mean, and luckily you can actually upload videos to Leaf, and we'll strip the
Oh,
audio, so I
nice.
could do that.
Yeah.
It's just like the keyboard, it's not organized. So I do wish I had something
Hmm.
like that, whether it's Leaf or just regular voice memos or
Hmm.
anything. The other thing I was thinking about though was because both of our kids were like more in the COVID
Yeah.
times, having relationships and being surrounded by other friends and family with people with kids, people are saying like just all the things that just sort of like dropped
Yeah.
off for a long time for all of us. And so I think like for anyone that doesn't have that,
Hmm.
hurdle, like try to surround yourself and keep those relationships up and have your kids exposed to different people. I think that's really special. We try to do that a lot more now, but we definitely missed out on that for a
Yeah,
while.
I do think that the world has shifted in general, but I think COVID in particular for parents that basically had their kids in COVID, like you had to learn how to do that because pre-COVID it sort of kind of happened to you, like you were kind of absorbed, like not it wasn't easy, but these communities around school, for example. Like my kids started kindergarten when COVID like shut all the schools down. So I like never met any of the
Okay.
parents. And then I
Yeah,
never
that's
knew how
tough.
to like meet them on the other end. And so and then the rest of our kids are going through the same school system, and it just like kind of never materialized the way that I imagine
Yeah.
it would have pre COVID, where you could like walk into the classroom and say hi to the
Right.
teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, we should do this last one over leaf. But your kids may be listening one day. Um, is there
Yeah.
anything you'd like to say to them? These two cuties?
Yeah, this is such a impossibly emotional
Yeah,
question.
I know.
um, that I love
Mhm.
them. I love you guys, and I I feel very blessed to be their mom. And there's so much joy in just seeing their personalities develop, um, their interests, and I'm just so excited to see what they end up doing.
Mhm.
And we'll always be kind of cheering them on. And I'm so lucky that I get to be a mom,
Yeah.
and be with them. So I feel grateful.
Yes. Oh, they're lucky too, for sure. Oh,
Appreciate
well,
you.
thank you, Barry. Everyone go download Leaf wherever you get your apps. We'll link to it in our episode notes description too to make it easy. But I think it's a wonderful product. And so like it's so peacefully done. Like, and also the branding is so nice. Like it's not a triggering platform. It's like, oh, this is a
Oh,
nice,
thanks for that.
gentle part of the thing that can be a part of my life as opposed to like a disruptor in my life. Um,
That's great to hear. Thank you
yeah,
so
of
much.
course. Well, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day and
You
week.
too. Stay
Thank you
warm.
so much. I know we're recording this like in Boston, January 27th after a major storm. But yes, you stay warm in Santa Monica. Enjoy your sun.
I will.
All
All
right.
right. Thank
Thank
you
you,
again.
Barry.
Bye.
Okay, Barry, I see your googliness. No wonder you were a dream to be there. Completely competent, incredibly smart, also with these like wild side passions such as judo. Love to hear her story. A few things that are sticking with me that I will flag for listeners who obviously took copious notes through our conversation. But a few things. One, the role modeling of her parents and specifically her dad's involvement in her life, given that that's sort of the counter narrative that we need more stories around, I think very much clearly informed her like team first collaborative approach that she has within her own family unit. I think that's wonderful so that more people, in this case, women, can go into marriage with more of like an expectation as opposed to um, pressing a specific ask or need or desire. Like this is just sort of the way it is, as opposed to we're affecting change. The second piece was I liked that she was so best plan is no plan, or sometimes the best plan is no plan. And I think that she is uniquely capable of pulling that off. I don't think that works for everyone, but there is within that, whether there's no plan or a plan around it, noticing what sparks your interest. I think, and giving those sparks a chance to turn into a larger flame as she was, in business school and started to notice like, oh, this entrepreneurial thing is actually like kind of interesting to me. And investing in that and seeing what it might grow into is awesome. Third was setting the right expectations, which kind of relates to knowing your own priorities. I talk about this a lot, and that's something that I try to really get myself to do. But setting the right expectations so that you don't feel like you're behind all the time and being reasonable about it. And then in terms of priorities, like the world will shout at us about these like overnight successes, and we have this, lists of 30 under 30. There's so much urgency externally, but it's important to remember that like you actually get to decide what success looks like to you. And I do think that once we do that, like the external voices are a little bit quieter. Not always, and sometimes they get loud at moments of weakness, but I do think that's like such a powerful exercise to be able to do, which is like, okay, all of those, there's all this noise about accolades and what could matter, but like what do I want? What does success look like for me? and like turn down the volume on everything else. And lastly, I just did sense this wonderful lightness about her. And I, without over psychoanalyzing anything that I don't have the rights to, but I just sense that she approaches life from this feeling that life is an exciting opportunity versus something to fear. And if you can think of it as that, then everything is sort of a, well, let's see what happens. Let's try. Let's see. And I love that lightness. I think that's maybe a lightness that could almost get me to run the LA Marathon, but maybe not. But I will hold on to that. So for everyone out there, enjoy the exciting opportunity that is the rest of your day. Thank you, Barrie. And everyone go download Leaf, like the plant leaf. And I'll drop a link to the app in our episode description to make it super easy. But otherwise, hang in there, team. You're doing great. You got this. We'll see you on our next episode.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode and we can reach even more rock stars like you. The Mothers is a production of Backline Media, shining a light on those who carry the team.